Call meeting back to order. Looking for an approval of the agenda, please.
Strike two. Done that.
Already did?
Did?
When did we approve the agenda?
No. Strike two on the agenda, special town meeting.
Right.
That's
okay,
all.
we gotta do the public.
Now I gotta do a public
Now we
hearing.
gotta do the public.
Right.
hearing. Yeah, right, yeah. Sorry about that. So the first public hearing would be the malt license for Vanderloop Restaurant. And that's been attached. Looks like everything's been approved by Jim.
Yes. Going through the process. The reason we're really having a public hearing for them, they're a new business here in town.
Right.
And you know, even though they were in Kennebunkport, I don't think they had any issues related to their job or their business down there. We felt it was prudent to bring it forward to see if there were any concerns about the business being located where it is, so on and so forth. So I haven't heard any. Folks are here if they need to comment on it.
Yeah, any comment from the public? Vanderloop? Seeing none. We'll close the public hearing on Vanderloop. Open the public hearing on, to adopt the MMA model general assistance ordinance.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, yearly we have to go through adjustments within the MMA model, something that's been adopted by the town over the past several years. I provided copies of the model for you to look at. Pretty standard stuff. They break it down per county as to what folks who are eligible for the assistance can do.
Looks like it increased a little bit, huh?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it's gone up percentage-wise more than anything else at this point.
All right, anything from the public on the general assistance ordinance? Seeing none, I'll close that public hearing. And open the public hearing for the automobile graveyard and/or junkyard doing business as Randrick Trust.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, again, this is a ongoing business. It's been there for many, many years. I have reapplied for an application. Everything has been reviewed by the code enforcement officer and signed off. I think all the paperwork is in order.
Anything from the public on that?
The permit that they have been operating under was granted by the planning board under the land use ordinance, and I don't believe it's appropriate for the Board of Selectmen to take that from the planning board. When they come back to us for renewal of the permit, we have given them public hearings. We've always given them their permit for the automobile graveyard. I don't think it's appropriate for the Board of Selectmen to supersede the planning board in that feature.
Can I say something? One time I asked why the selectmen and the planning board had, both had sort of jurisdiction over those, and they said that's just the way that the model is supposed to be, and so every year we come to the Board of Selectmen, but it has nothing to do with the, yeah.
This is, you may have been coming, this is the first time I'm aware of the fact that the selectmen held those public hearings, and I'm thinking to myself, that's just bizarre, because we have to do it when you come before us.
Every 3 years, you guys,
Yep.
every 3 years, and the selectmen every year. Yeah.
Okay, that answers the question, it's
Yeah.
just, I find it bizarre.
There's a lot of bizarre things out there.
Oh, yeah, there are. I had the same thing for the next public hearing with a slight change.
Anything else from the public? Seeing none, I'll close that public hearing. And move on to public hearing for the automobile graveyard junkyard doing business as AIM Recycling.
Again, Mr. Chairman, the same standards we've had with the previous public hearing. Been doing it for many, many years and have filled out the paperwork and reviewed by the code enforcement officer who was signed off on.
Anything from the public on that?
Just it was the same issue, except that we met with AIM last Thursday night, and we finished everything up. those guys are good to go.
All right, I'll close that public hearing. That's it for public hearings. Now I'm looking for an approval of the agenda.
I'd like to add this letter.
We're gonna add that under our other business?
Yep.
The letter from Helen. Anything else?
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion by Velma, seconded by Dan. All those in favor? Public forum, anything not on the agenda? Yes. Could you just stand up and state your
Sure.
name, please, just so the camera can hear?
My name's Melanie Mitchell, and we have had quite a few issues with the neighbor and her dog. My son phoned me and said the neighbor just came out with a dog. The dog's chasing my bike, biting at my feet, and biting at my tires. That prompted me running out of my house to see what was going on. I visually saw what was happening. I made a phone call to the York County Sheriff's Office, in which nothing really happened. So I made a phone call to Deb LaRoche, the animal patrol officer. In the midst of all this, I need to know that my son's safe, is gonna be safe. 14-year-olds ride their bikes on the road, on their roads. They should be able to go free. We've had, the animal control officer called us later, it was a day later, wasn't able to go out until 2 days after she had called me to let me know that she wouldn't be able to go out until Tuesday, and I think it happened on a Thursday or a Friday, which was fine. I was a little put off, I was a little annoyed at the fact of this dog, and the woman was doing nothing, absolutely nothing to take control of her dog, nothing. I was told by the York County Sheriff's Office we didn't have an ordinance, an animal control ordinance. I was told by the animal control officer we did not have an ordinance, which prompted going to town hall, questioning Jim whether or not we had an ordinance, and we do. He printed it off, which I ended up telling Deb LaRoche that we do. It's on the website, this has to be addressed. Well, in looking at the ordinance, there's several issues. One, it doesn't take care of fecal matter. These particular neighbors had 6 dogs living in a camper within 200 feet of my residence. The poop was thrown over towards the eastern trail repetitively. It stunk so bad that we couldn't drive down our driveway with our windows open. Dogs barking all the time. We would get blamed for these dogs barking. That's one issue. There's no ordinance addressing fecal matter, properly disposing of it. I looked into several other ordinances in other surrounding communities. They all have ordinances for picking up after your dog. If you walk the Eastern Trail, you get those little doggy dookie bags, and they're usually hung up by a tree, tied up on a limb, or thrown in bushes, or thrown in somebody's, woods, which is like putting an umbrella on poop, and it's not gonna go anywhere. It's just gonna stay there, which is really gross. So that's one of the issues. In definitions, it has nuisance, the causing of unreasonable noise, litter, or other property damage, the chasing of automobiles, motorcycles, bicycles, or other vehicles, and the entry under private property of school grounds. And that particular one is not addressed in the violations, which would prohibit this dog from chasing vehicles and cars. This dog we brought my daughter, 20-year-old daughter, brought this dog home, because they knew it was hers, but this dog was out on Mountain Road and on the Biddeford side, you know, being neighborly, brings this dog home. And it probably chased a car down Bass Lane and out onto Mountain Road, which is kind of ridiculous. And the violations piece of it, I don't know, section 13, it's confusing because it says, it points out, section 10, which is impoundment fees, but it's under violations. I don't get it. And there's a severability clause, also in this ordinance. It needs to be addressed. I abut the Eastern Trail. I have watched this dog, chase bicycles. My dog has chased. Admit it. Unsuspecting route, you know, whatever, but I got my dog on, you know, I will call my dog comes back. It's never an issue. These dogs, it's open the door and let the dog out and it's not even under voice command, not even on leash. They're free to do whatever. And they're, again, unsuspecting bikers. I mean, I see people on that trail, elderly people riding their bicycles. That's dangerous. It's for a dog to be left free and to chase after vehicles, and this woman did absolutely nothing to get this dog under control. I witnessed it. I had to yell at her to get her dog under control before she even got up to do anything. It's a safety risk, and I think that it warrants, looking into. Sure. I'm all set. I don't know if you have any questions, but my husband would like to speak.
Can I
as
be
well.
next? I can speak to that a little bit.
Just take a name for me, please.
Jack Mitchell, 21 Bass Lane. I'm a resident here in the rental since 2006. I'm the lucky recipient of the neighbor. We have a long history of this stuff. The reason I'm here today, I'll try and be very specific because I think there's issues with that ordinance. I have not read the ordinance back to front. I've talked to Keith, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Keith, okay. Sorry, I don't know your last name.
Right, you spoke to me and I spoke to your wife on the phone last
And
week.
we did a lot of speaking. I talked to Animal Control, or whatever her title is. We talked to Jim Nagel, we talked to you. Emails have gone back and forth. I'm just a resident, right? I pick up the phone, I talk to the contact expert. I mean, so I'm going back to the bones of this has to do with the ordinance. So we're thinking, okay. And this, you know, I know that she gave you a lot of background, but here it is. I'm the guy, the son's on the bike, on the road, lady comes out. So I consider weaponizing your dog.
Yeah.
You come out because my son's riding on the road, and now he's chasing and trying to bite my son. So what do? You pick up the phone and make a call, right? You call your contract deputy that you're paying for. Help me out, man. She's taking her dog out off the leash and it's running down the road, chasing my dog, chasing my son, trying to bite him, trying to bite his bike. This is kind of no-brainer stuff, right, for anyone. Cops come take care of it. No. Sorry, sir, we don't have an ordinance. I asked Jim Nagel, code enforcement. Wow, really? Okay. We called the dog officer, but she doesn't know about it either. Well, excuse me, we called the dog officer, don't hear anything. When we find out, because she has a full-time job somewhere. She gets in touch with us a day or two later and says that she's gonna come in and address it another day or two. So I'm an Arundel resident, just calling because somebody's letting their dog out of the house to chase my kid down the street, right? Does any of this seem kind of strange? I mean, these are all the facts. We get, at the same time, we talk to Keith after Jim's given us, you know, the ordinance, and that sort of becomes an email situation back and forth. It doesn't really address, I think one of the last emails I saw is that it doesn't say anything about chasing bicycles. And I'm looking at the small piece of the ordinance that reads it. Again, I haven't read it front to back, but the one that's published on the Arundel website says chasing bicycles and cars and other things. And maybe I've taken it out of context, but again, it's just a guy calling because somebody's letting their dog out to chase my kid down the street. Don't need a lot of big interpretation. But when you're calling, and the sheriff, you know, your contact deputy goes, no ordinance, you talk to town, you know, the code enforcement says, yes, there is. Animal control doesn't call you, and when they do, they say, here's her model. she tells Melanie she can attest to that. Well, I'm gonna warn her. And then I'm gonna warn her again. And then if she does it a third time, then I'm gonna cite. Imagine that. Bless your heart, right? I'm in law enforcement myself, you know, I'm federal, I don't do state, you know, and all that. So I thought that was really interesting. That's an interesting model, right? You can create, I mean, as a law enforcement officer, I don't understand that. I don't understand warn, I'm gonna do something. You don't even know what the problem is gonna be. Confusing. So, I mean, again, I'm the resident picking up the phone because somebody's seeing my son riding up down the street and coming out, and off we go. And I'm not trying to bring all the rest of it in, you know what I mean? But I mean, it's that simple, right? Because you're all, I mean, husbands, fathers, grandfathers, grandparents. That I don't understand how it became so unreasonable and how it sort of turned on the resident to sort of prove something. I mean, it's kind of, it reminds me of Yosemite Sam. I'm thinking, you know, cross draws, yay, the Wild West. I mean, seriously? Seriously? I mean, is that really how we're gonna deal with that? So if there's no teeth in that ordinance, or chasing bicycles well, that's in the wrong paragraph somewhere or something, that's what we need to fix, right? You have a son? Your son riding his bike? Dog's chasing it? Do you call? What do you do? Nothing? No, you're not gonna wanna argue with Keith, or the contractor, or Jim, or you wanna call animal control, and they don't call you back, and then you text them too, and they don't text you back, and then they get, I mean, that's a great job, I want that. I already told Keith I want the job. Sign me up, because I'll get in touch with you when I can, and then I'm gonna deal with it when I can, and I get paid, that's great. So, I feel like I'm a reasonable person asking a reasonable request to somehow, you know, make this ordinance something that works for the people, you know. That's all. It's not complicated. I don't want anything special for myself. I want it for everyone. And I think somehow the common sense has been written out of it. I expect that consequence if I take my dog up because somebody's riding their bike on the road out front, so he can chase that person and try and bite him at him in that bicycle, I'm on the hook. I mean, well, not actually. I mean, in a rundle, I got to fight with everybody. But so please help.
Take a look at that ordinance.
Please
Yeah,
help.
I said to the Mitchells on the phone, and I sent an email to them that I was gonna put this on the next agenda, so you'd have a copy of the ordinance. We
He
do
did.
a copy of the state statute.
Yes.
We talk about other ordinances in the area and address some of the concerns that they've expressed. I said I'd be more than willing to do that. I just thought that tonight's meeting, we didn't have enough time to do everything that we wanted to do, so.
Yeah, and I didn't expect to talk about it tonight, really. I didn't, that wasn't why I was here, but, you know,
I was.
when there was a public comment section, I felt like, you know, Melanie was up here doing her best. And,
That's fine.
you know, that's,
I would just like to add something. The York County Sheriff's Office, Deb LaRoche, town manager, Jim Nagel, everybody has been nothing but professional. We just see this as a problem, we see the issues, and we want it resolved. And I don't wanna work against the town, I wanna work with the town, because it's for, like my husband said, it is for everybody in the town, and especially for those out on the Eastern Trail who are enjoying the Eastern Trail, who are unsuspecting, just enjoying it, and these things happening. I mean, I've witnessed coming home, you know, people trying to bring these dogs home, and they're ignored by the owners, and the dog's just running circles around these people, and I'm like, excuse me, and they're outside and do absolutely nothing. But there again, it's not, I mean, it wasn't my business, so I kept my nose out of it, now it's my business, so my nose is in it.
Saul, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I mean, I know that if someone was actually allowing their dog intentionally to go chase after one of my children, okay, with the intent to allow him to bite him, I think it's more than just a dog ordinance issue. I think you need to address the conduct of the adults more than the dog itself. The dog is nothing more than a vehicle. And I don't know how you guys could change an ordinance to create, by saying, well, the dog shouldn't be chasing people and stuff like that. you know, to a point where it would actually solve and resolve the kind of problems that they're talking about here. That's my only, I mean, there should be a stronger ordinance in relation maybe to the dog, you know, by barking and other things like that. But I know the state has dog bite ordinances like every other state. Okay, it's pretty much strict liability. But if someone is intentionally sending an animal out after you, I really think I would really be concerned about, you know, the other issue of the adults that are doing this.
And I
Well,
agree,
I-
and the sheriff's department didn't see it that way.
And they ended up getting served with a cease harassment order, and I walked with pepper spray. So,
You have a state statute.
but you know what? But,
Dogs only alarms, that's a violation.
but she got,
And you and I communicated about this.
Call the sheriff's department and call the contract
But
company
our
and see what they
ordinance-
say.
As you and I discussed,
no,
is
it's,
horrible.
You
It
get,
needs to
we
be-
have no ordinance, I'm telling you, we have no ordinance.
It's been on the books since 1998.
Yeah.
so
it's been on the books since '98,
That's
and
coming
we've had
to
the issue
Yeah.
with the
Yes,
dog.
sir. I'll bring it next meeting.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Approval of the minutes, September 9th.
I have something,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ellen?
okay, I'm here on something totally different, and I apologize for coming up and slapping envelopes in front of you, but like I said, I work from 8 to 5, and the town office is always closed, and try to send something in as work. My comment is on the beautiful construction of Route 111 in the area of Holly's New Road up the hill to the creamery. They did a wonderful job. It's a beautiful road, it really is. It's something that's been needed for a long time. I've been a resident in Rundle since May 16, 1952, and that was the day I was born, just over the hill here. And I know a lot of other people, I didn't write that letter just for me, as you can see, there's comments in there about the general public, as Melanie says, in her area. It's not only for her, the ordinances and laws are made for everybody. I now travel home from work. I work in Kennebunk at RSU 21 in Kennebunk, and when I go to work in the morning, I come out, I drive towards Sanford, try to cut across 111 to get onto Limerick Road to go to work. Coming home, I now get on the main turnpike in Kennebunk, get off at Biddeford, so that when I get off that main turnpike, I'm in the right lane coming home. I know I'm in that lane, so I'm gonna get into my home where I live at Pinesville Rundle, which is a modular home park up there in Route 111. I've never seen a road so dangerous in my life. The speeding is just horrendous, and coming out of the park, it's now a 2-lane passing zone right in front of those 2 parks. And I know people live in that area too, but in the park that I live in, I know there are 30 homes, and I think there's something like 30 odd in the other park. Makes it really dangerous for vehicles to get in and out of there. And such as Mr. Mitchell, I've law enforcement for 15 years, and I know that the laws, traffic laws or any law, the traffic laws in this incident with the signage, the speed limits and everything, the red lights, stop lights, they're all put there for a reason. It's all put there so that everybody can have a fair chance at getting to where they want to go safely, okay? With the new construction there at that intersection, it's not a safe situation. I did try the first night to come home, trying, after they put the speed limit signs up, coming up New Road. And from New Road, they have that, it's a small little guide island for traffic to go right, heading towards Biddeford, and then left on the other side, heading towards Sanford. On the other side, heading towards Sanford, that is the same area where people coming from Biddeford, turning onto New Road, have to cross in front of these vehicles trying to get off of New Road. There was a white pickup truck in front of me, and he waited, we were both waiting, we're looking, cars are coming, they kind of look like they slowed up, so you kind of like go ahead a little bit, and oh, you have to stop quick because somebody's flying around the corner. That gentleman, I don't know who in the hell he was, but that gentleman in that pickup, I mean, he actually stepped on the gas, and you probably see rubber laid there. I mean, and he actually had to do that in order to save somebody's life. Because just as he was pulling out, somebody decided at the last minute that they wanted to go down Limerick Road. He would have gotten broadsided. If he had slowed up or stopped, he would have been broadsided. I was right behind him thinking, oh my God, I'm next in line. How am I gonna get out of here to take a left just to get turned into my home where my family is that expected me to get home safely? And I know that sounds dramatic, and I'm not usually a dramatic person, but when you're in that kind of situation, you can't go right now because you're there. If you go right, you can't, because there's cars in the other lane that are turning right, you cut them off. So maybe to make an attempt to go right, maybe go down to Bedford Crossing, go around and come back on your side of the road so that you can, get into your home. It's a beautiful project. And I know it's not cheap. As law enforcement for many years in Kennebunk, I know that we had petitioned areas to put up traffic lights. And I know just to maintain them back then, was $13,000 a year. This would be, I know now everything has changed, you gotta have people go out and you need to have an architect or somebody to survey. Then now my understanding is they can't use wooden poles anymore, they have to put steel poles on cement. I know that it's not gonna be a cheap venture, and I know it's not your fault. I realize it's a state road and it's DOT, but I think for everybody who goes in that area, they have to go there, either to go to work, to go shopping, or just to take a ride to go, a pleasure ride somewhere. They're putting their lives in the hands of the DOT because they omitted from putting a traffic light up at the end of New Road. I kind of wish some of the other people would have stayed so that they could hear my plea, and maybe be a little backing on this. I'm hoping that the selectmen in our town and the town manager will at least start with, if I'm the only letter that you have, or if I'm the first person that had pled about this situation, I'm hoping that you do contact the DOT and try to do speed limit signs, slow them down, but that one light there that could stop that traffic coming from Bedford would at least give some people coming off of New Road the chance to get out and get in their home, and even with the red light, they could come out of there and then head to Bedford or head to Sanford without crossing 2 lanes of road. The second day I came home, I did go down to the end of Limerick Road, and I made my right after a lot of traffic needed to cross to get to Sanford, and that's a deadly area too. But I finally did get to my right, which I thought, whew, this is, not too bad. But when I come up over the hill to put on my blinker to take a left to get into the park, there's 2 lines of speeding traffic going now, or in the past it was only 1. And coming from Sanford headed to Bedford, there's only that 1 lane. I mean, there's no tar, it goes from tar to dirt. So vehicles coming up behind you, they can't go around you, okay? So I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, I can't get across, and I'm looking in my rearview mirror, and cars are speeding coming up behind me, and all I hear is horns blowing, hand gestures, because I'm trying to go home. So I don't know where to go from here, but I don't know if you have any thoughts or ideas. I'm sure that when they were constructing this, you must have thought, what are we gonna do at that intersection?
We did. There was a couple informational meetings that we had here at the gym, and we pushed as a board to put a light there.
I'm sure you did.
We pushed and pushed and pushed.
I'm sure
This will help, and I definitely wanna pass this up to DOT, and I think we
Thank you,
should.
Jason.
But,
Thank you.
but we really did, and even Roger was there, and
And I
we
didn't
tried.
even know how to address this, so I'll be honest, I called Roger and I said, Roger, how can I address this? I don't know if it's proper to do a letter to the selectmen.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody at DOT, and I'm just a little pea in the pod, but, I've lived in Arundel all my life, and I've never seen such a most dangerous area in my whole life of living, let alone driving.
What we were told is, and I don't know if it's true or not, but they were gonna make preparations for a future light. And I don't know if that's electrically, if the post has been pulled, I haven't noticed a post there for a pole or anything, but I'd be surprised if they even ran the conduit for the wire, but that's what they told us they were gonna do, is prep for a
Right.
light, but.
I just hate to think someday somebody's gonna get badly injured or killed at that intersection, and I don't know how I would feel, you know, after trying to plead to get a light there for safety for everybody, and to have somebody get badly injured or killed there, and thinking, you know, I tried, and, our hands are tied.
That's no different than Bedford Crossings. They just moved it, you know, further north. When you're at Bedford Crossings and you wanna keep going, people race to try to beat you to merge in. They're doing the same thing over there.
Yes, it
People
is.
race to try to pass you to try, and it's,
And you know, but the normal cop, like myself, I'm not an angel, trust me, but I do slow back and let these cars go by and get in, because what am I doing by trying to cut them off? You're gonna cause an accident or whatever, so what have you proven when you do that? Yeah, you might get a couple of finger gestures or whatever, and you just look there and keep going, but I'm slowing up to let them, you know, go in, because I know of that situation. And we all love Bedford Crossing. I'm telling you, I shop like any other person shops, and Market Basket is just over the hill for me. So, but I know that when they put that shopping center in, that's when the traffic really started to build up. And then when Market Basket came in, that really started to build up. But you know, there is no other exit off the main turnpike between here and Sanford. Many of the people in the mornings, like I said, between, you know, 6 and 8:30ish, and in the afternoon, maybe 3:30 to 6, these are, a lot of people are just going to work and trying to get home from work too. And Route 111 is their only choice to make that transit to and fro. I was really shocked when I pulled out of my park, and as I was headed towards Sanford, the minute I pulled out of the park, I saw a sign that said 50, and I said, oh my God, it's always been 40 through here. Now it's 50, this new road. So people are looking at, they're not even looking at the 50 sign. They're just like, it's a brand new road, it's nice, hot topped and everything, and they're just going. They're just going. We have school buses. I wasn't gonna bring up RSU 21, but we do have school buses. I work in the transportation department at RSU 21. And we do have Bedford, Thornton, have school buses several times during the school day. Pull up and pick up kids in that whole section area, let alone all the kids in those two parks. I haven't even thought to even check the GPS on the school buses, our school buses, where they're stopping in those two lanes. Whether they're stopping on the, leaving that other lane a freeway, if the sign goes out, somebody's in a hurry, they're gonna go right by those buses. Luckily, we only pick up children on the door side of the bus in Route 111 because, you know, of the dangers of crossing. But it's not just our school bus, Bedford comes through there, Thornton comes through there. It is a dangerous situation, and I hope my little plea will maybe get something rolling that we can all be proud of. And I don't wanna, you know, I don't wanna see, you know, a forum where like everybody here coming in and, you know, hanging in, trying to overpower the select people and whatever. But I know a lot of them that were here, that many of them live up in that area, and they probably, if they'd stayed here, they probably would agree with me and be a backer on that. But I'm not trying to go that route. I'm trying to be civil about it. Like I said, I was in law enforcement in Kennebunk for 15 years, so I know how important it is to do things in the proper manner, and usually you get things done.
Ellen, don't you have a school bus that goes up the new road and then has to turn left up Route 111?
Yes.
I would talk with that driver and see if perhaps that driver might want to put down their feelings about that intersection and also get that to the state DOT.
Yeah,
Because I think a school bus driver, knowing that you've got children.
I totally understand what you're saying, Velma. I really don't want to, you know, really bring in the RSU 21 thing. I would have to get permission from RSU 21, you know, to do that properly. I wouldn't wanna be stepping on toes, or, you know, but,
I'd rather be stepping on toes and have the bus run into right there.
I know, and I'm sure you totally understand what I'm trying to say. Yes, I wanna get it done, I wanna do it properly.
you certainly can attend one of the board of directors meetings and speak the same thing at a public meeting, just, public, just like you did here.
Right.
That wouldn't hurt, they certainly allow the public to talk.
Yeah, this board supports your position, you understand that.
Yes,
We just don't have any authority to do anything.
Yeah.
right. I
But
totally understand.
What you wanna do, I think, is start contacting our state legislatures.
Right.
MDOT tends to pay attention if you can get a legislature starting to talk to them. I mean, we had success when Wayne Perry was our representative, so if you wanna contact Henry or send him a letter, Henry Emerson
If I
and
could get
Susan
some,
DeChambeau.
if you people have some contact names or something I
I
can,
know Henry well, I'll help you.
good, thank you.
Jack?
Yeah, Jack Reeds, if you can give me the name of the driver, I will follow up on that with the school district.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening, appreciate it.
For me tonight.
Anything else from the public? Non-agenda?
You say you was over there.
Moving on, approval of the minutes, September 9th.
Good to meet, wasn't it good? Okay, make a motion to approve it.
Motion by Dan, seconded by Phil. All those in favor? Any, community board reports? Seeing none? No?
We were here during our issue.
Mr. Manager?
Just a couple things. The first is there's been a new change in the state statute in reference to an increase of municipal agent fees for motor vehicle, all-terrain vehicle, and snowmobile and watercraft registrations. And what generally happens is that this board has to make a decision whether or not they're going to increase the fees for those particular things prior to them going into effect for the municipality. Just a quick thing, the summary of the bill allows municipal agents to charge a higher service fee for registration for motor vehicles from $3 to $5 for renewals and from $4 to $6 for new registrations. It also allows municipal agents to charge higher service fees for registrations for all-terrain vehicles, snowmobiles, and watercraft from $1 to $3 for renewals and $2 to $5 for new registrations. So, Emily's here, she can weigh in on it, but what generally happened, what brought it again to surface for us today was the fact that our software company went ahead and made the modifications to the, and then so, because we hadn't approved this, they had to go in and physically change it back to the old rate. So, I guess what I'm asking for is whether or not you want to increase the fees, and if so, I would entertain a vote to do so.
Where do those, what happens with those funds?
The agent fees?
Yeah.
For, motor vehicle, it just goes into,
Stacy?
yeah,
Those are fees that go into the general fund.
yeah.
I know you have a snowmobile, it's gripping you right now.
Andy has a vote, I'm for it, because he has one of each, so.
Yeah,
Get a vote too, right?
I make a motion, we approve it. I don't have either.
I'll second.
I
don't have either.
abstain.
Is it a lot of work for you to go back in and change it back?
No, it's not.
It would just be, it would be easier, right? It would just
Yes.
be programmed in?
It's all
Yes.
programmed.
Yeah. It's all
It's already programmed in now,
Right.
right? You do nothing.
Right.
Well, we would change, yeah, we would change it back
You just
to,
have to change it back.
change it back, but, yeah, it's easy.
All right, need a motion to accept, or,
I did, I made the
oh,
motion.
you made the motion, sorry
Yes.
about that, and, Tom seconded.
Tom seconded.
Any more discussion on that? All those in favor?
Yeah.
Thank you. Did you go for it?
I
You
did.
did,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you didn't have a choice.
Anything I can do to help support the town.
The other thing is that I just, even though I gave you a an email on this in reference that, Neoto from Talmadge Solar Engineering went out on the site with Roger and I to look at the new municipal building and the location of the 9 dual access trackers that would be placed on the property. Presently, we've located them directly behind the original building that's there, taking into consideration that we have a 50-foot right-of-way that we have to maintain for ACT, so we have to be 25 feet off that. The reason we chose that is quite frankly, it requires no removal of any existing trees that are there now. And it felt like, it looked like the best place for it. My concern moving forward was if they put it further behind the building, that not only would we have to take down some trees, but the neighbor directly across, who's been accustomed to having nothing there, would have those trackers right in their backyard. So here, there's a fence that goes across to the back of that property. The bottom of these trackers will be 11 feet. So obviously, the top part of the trackers, if you're sitting in that house, you're gonna see the top of them when they're pivoted and up to get the sun. But there may be some more assistance we can do there in terms of plantings on this side of that to try to, and when it grows, to try to give a better buffer there. But at this point, that's the location that we've chosen to place them. Obviously, that's still up in the air as we move forward through this process. Again, that's a kind of thing that, because it'd be a long-term relationship over 5 years, it will require town meeting approval to place these trackers and provide solar power to the building as a whole. So that'll be a discussion, obviously, that we'll have further information on as we move through this process, so.
Is there, I guess I'd ask Rich, and I don't think there's really anything in our ordinance on solar from a screening perspective. I know we've run into a lot of issues in the past from screening from, businesses or what have you, having, certain percentage screened, but I would tend to think that we probably wanna have to do something down the road with trees to screen that.
There's
I know
nothing
Lean mentioned that there might be something in the plan.
There's
but-
nothing specific to solar, but buffering and screening is specific
Right.
within the ordinance, and it's any place from 76 to 100%.
Right.
Doesn't make much sense to put solar panels up and then plant trees around them.
Behind them,
I don't know.
behind them,
Yeah.
where the moon comes out.
But I think there may be, and, that'll be great, we should have that discussion with the planning board to ensure that we're doing it properly, but it may be an opportunity to place a berm along that property line, place the trees in the berm, similar to other locations, to try to gain that.
Similar to what we did down at Bentley's by
Yeah.
putting up a berm and plant on top of
Correct.
it.
I mean,
And that may provide us the needed buffer that we need from there.
it does call for buffering, and it doesn't imply anything about solar, but because it calls for buffer, to me,
Right, that's,
it would be implied that those count, so we need to look at that.
Okay, and that's all I have.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
if we can talk about solar a little bit further, and specifically in this arena, I would estimate that the top of all those panels that are installed there would be about 18 feet roughly.
Yeah.
And a berm certainly, and trees might do the job. But more importantly, as a committee, none of us could even hardly spell solar 2 months ago. We're learning slowly. We got a long way to go as a committee, I think. And it's my concern and my objective to see that we as a town do our due diligence in looking at the alternatives, making sure we really want to be in the electricity generating business as a town, and further, that it's financially a good thing to do. And that's hard to do when you're projecting out over 25 years as to the feasibility of all this. And right now, the information we have is pretty scant, and we simply haven't interviewed the 3 responders. So I think we have a ways to go, and of course we'll be addressing this further tomorrow night. I think.
No, we have a budget board meeting tomorrow
That's
night.
the wrong meeting.
Ron,
We've
We won't
got
meet
another
again until the
week or
1st of
so.
October.
Sam, did you have something?
He's asked my question about the height, 18 feet,
Okay.
but I would just like to amplify what Jack said, that for us as citizens and taxpayers in this town, we need to know that this makes economic sense.
Sure.
Not just cultural sense, solar is a big thing these days, and getting rid of carbon, and all that good stuff. So we live in a state where there's actually a very low carbon content to the electricity provided in the state of Maine. As you probably know, is like 7% comes from oil and gas, and most of it, the rest of it is hydro and wind and gas turbines, which are very clean. So we're not really displacing a lot of carbon by going to solar. Be that it as it may though, we still should make sure that the alternative we choose, if we do choose to go solar, is economically sound, and that requires, I think, some more work to be done by the committee or you or somebody to demonstrate that.
Right.
Because the electricity rate for municipalities, as you know, is very low. It's a very attractive rate. It's not what you pay in your house.
Right. I know one goal that we had as a building committee was to make the building as close to net zero as possible. And that could be established with the solar function.
And we know that electricity is not gonna go down.
Possibly true, and we also know that to run a complicated electronic and solar system in an ever-changing world of technology advancements is not a job for beginners.
And again, it's not new technology, it's
Having
technology.
been in the electricity business for 20 years as a consultant, I can say that's true.
I mean, the committee certainly has had a lot of discussion on solar, we have some folks that are, very versed on it, and, it's certainly something that we'll continue to talk about.
I'm not against it, please don't misunderstand me.
No.
I just wanna make sure we can demonstrate that it's economically viable.
Yep.
Anything else on the new trackers?
No, I'm all set.
Alright, moving on, we got some voting to do on the new business. First would be the liquor license for Vandaloo.
I make a motion, we approve the liquor license for Vandaloo.
Second.
Motion by Velma, seconded by Phil. Any more discussion on Vandaloo? All those in favor? Motion carries. Who wants to sign as we go, or just, do we have any signatures? No?
Yep, you do. Get signatures on all of them.
Does anybody know when that link's gonna be open?
What are they shooting for October?
Oh, did you
It's
say?
gonna be open?
The whole
The
place.
restaurant, I
Yeah.
thought I saw a sign that said that they are now open.
No, I think this is opening this fall. I think that was all, it said was this fall.
Velma's gonna keep the original
Yeah.
signature. Moving on, the model GA ordinance.
Motion we approve as presented.
Motion by Dan,
Second.
second by Velma. Any more discussion on that one? All those in favor? Motion carries.
Yes, just one.
Just one, okay.
Yeah, that's just the background,
Yeah.
background information.
Moving on, automobile graveyard for Rainbrick Trust.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Phil, seconded by Dan. The only discussion I would raise is, moving forward, can we just eliminate the complications between planning board and selectmen? It just seems.
Yes, didn't know it existed.
Right. Both, I'll just look at them.
But is there,
So noted.
I have to look at our ordinance to see if it's in our ordinance.
Excuse me?
I'd have to look to see if it's in our ordinance as to why we do this.
Okay, we can follow up on that.
This is state statute for automobile graveyard,
Yes,
and so you have to do this.
for us.
Right.
But why are they,
Right.
why are they,
Because the land use ordinance
It's in there.
Yeah,
It's
it's
in
says
there.
that.
We get it both ways, man.
Yeah, so they have to go through both the land use ordinance and through us.
I didn't know they had to go through the land use ordinance, so I'll tighten up on that, so we have it on, and so when that happens, we make sure that it's all done prior.
Should we vote on this?
We did?
Yeah, because it's every 3 years that they have to come before the planning board to renew the permit.
It's every year before the board of selectmen,
Right.
yeah.
alright, moving on, automobile graveyard for AIM Recycling.
Motion we approve it presented. Second.
Motion by Dan, seconded by Phil.
We should be seeing it pretty soon on that.
Yes, it should be. It's, I think, at the end of the month. By December, it's the whole-
Hurry up.
Did you get past that?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Slide the,
Need a motion for payable and payroll.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dan, seconded by Tom, all those in favor? Sign away. So we wanted a little discussion on the letter from Ellen. If you want, I know we had a,
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we just enter it into the record, that, she, you know, sent to us. I don't just want to add it to the minutes, but
maybe pass it on to Henry. Sounds like he might get a copy himself, so. Yeah. Anything else?
To Susan DeChambeau too, she's our senator.
yes. So Henry and Susan.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, is any of those on the transportation? I know
No.
Wayne was,
I think
but
Henry's on education.
education,
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't think Henry's on the transportation.
But Susan's got some clout, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
So we'll send it to both of them.
Yeah.
You gotta go up there and use that intersection 3 or 4 times, especially try it about 7:30 in the morning. See what it's like.
It's no different than 5 o'clock at night, because everybody's
Yeah.
coming out of Biddeford
Yeah,
at that
well,
point.
5 o'clock at night, yes.
Well, the other thing,
2
too, is,
hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon, it's just almost unbearable.
Yeah.
the other thing
We do
too
it
is,
every single day.
maybe we could, you know, let the sheriff know. I mean, it'd probably cause more problems if he's out there stopping people and all that traffic, but if people are speeding down through there, you know.
Do your people go out of there in the morning, Phil, and turn right, not left? They turn right, cause they can't get out of there to turn left?
A lot of mornings we have to turn left,
Uh-oh.
and, someday, somebody's gonna be underneath the dump truck.
Yeah.
It's not like they drive slowly or at the speed limit.
So you get 5 trucks lined up waiting to go to work in the morning, sooner or later, somebody takes a chance.
Yeah.
It's interesting, they did that whole construction for safety reasons, and I wonder if they made it worse.
It's better, yeah, but it still isn't good.
Yeah, I think it's better because of the old Alfred Road,
Yeah,
you know, that piece right
That
there, but
piece,
getting out onto
that-
111 to me is no different.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was still
it
there
isn't.
before,
It's
so.
Still it's still the dangerous intersection that it was before.
Right, but I think it might be a little bit worse because now with the 2 lanes. So people are racing, trying to go,
Exactly.
you know, trying to get ahead of the next guy.
And they're going faster on the right-hand inside when you're waiting to turn left.
In addition, in that
I think it's
intersection,
worse.
in the course of relocating the pole that holds the one light for the intersection, they took the grungy old light from before and put it up at the top of a much taller pole. So there's virtually no light in that intersection.
You talking street
at
light?
night.
Oh, okay.
And in inclement weather, it's almost worse than no light. It's almost like that intersection's dead dark. Just even change a light bulb would make, well, that doesn't address the fundamental speed problems. It is really nasty at night. But that's just one of many issues there.
Whose light is that, ours?
Well, Roger, is that ours or is that the state?
What's that?
The light
light
doesn't.
at Drew.
The DOT, but anything else, including any traffic signals, is gonna be on town road.
Yeah, I understand.
But that light's DOT?
I don't believe that's one of the ones listed on our list, we've got
Yeah,
seven.
I know we have several, but
And the town just can't put a light up there.
State road.
Before there's a light there has to be a study to decide that it actually needs to be there.
Well, that's
So
why
they
that's what
don't, the state doesn't even do that anymore. You have to hire an engineering firm to do that study to the tune, according to Don Mitchell from Mitchell's Electric, who services all our lights, traffic signals. You have an agency come in, that's to the tune of about $15,000 for the study. Then it gets approved or denied by the state before you spend, he figures probably about $70,000 to $80,000 to put a system in for lights.
But we, at the public meeting and the public comment that was issued, was overwhelmingly
Absolutely.
put the light in. And they kept telling us that the traffic and the accident count did not dictate a light at this time.
I said they will review it after the intersection gets done,
Correct.
and if it's such
And
time
we have
that,
some accidents.
And they
Yeah,
said,
somebody gets killed.
yeah, I
Well,
know.
they didn't put a light in at Hill Road until they had 2 fatalities.
Yeah, unfortunately.
What worries me is that one of those accidents might be a school bus, that's what worries me.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I have left is that I have, make sure you guys stay around and help me put this room back together tonight. I really appreciate your help.
Let's adjourn them.
Okay.
Need a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to adjourn.
Second, yes.
All those in favor?
it's gonna be a little interesting out there, just
Ellen
for snow.
Hanson.
Because it's not just plowing anymore either.